Hello, I found this article. It says web browsers have stopped blocking pop-ups. And then it reads here, if you were an internet user for a few years on either side of the turn of the millennium, you will remember pop-up advertisements like this. It opened in a separate window. That's something I remember. And here it says 2 pop-up ad windows displayed over the legitimate website in the background. We have even one here. A poorly considered web browser feature allowed website authors to open new browser windows on your computer containing some other website. This was quickly abused to show ads to users. You would visit a website and receive an ad that covered up the contents you were there to view until you closed the ad. As the ad technology developed, the ads would use various misleading features to become more deceptive and harder to dismiss. In a short time, the situation got so bad that the web browser started deploying built-in pop-up blocking technology to improve web browsing for their users. This was a major feature. News articles were written about it. It was a major selling point for Firefox's first 1.0 release in 2004. Later that year, Microsoft made the news by enabling pop-up blocking by default in their popular Internet Explorer web browser. But then we continue. It's getting worse today. This did fix the pop-up problem for a time. The web browser developers had done a good job and they moved on to implementing other features. Unfortunately, the ad developers didn't give up. And this is what we have today, these modal windows instead. A modern pop-up ad ironically displayed on top of a 2004 article about how bad pop-up ads are. Indeed. Pop-ups are back and they are worse than ever. The pop-up ad developers have evolved to work around browsers' built-in pop-up blockers, but the web browser developers haven't been keeping up in the arms race. The same patterns from the early 2000s are all back again, popping up at random times to intercept your interactions, needless distractions covering up what you intended to view, misleading or difficult to find dismissal buttons. And here they have some examples, like, so common to get these with newsletters that they ask you to join, and here's some other newsletter. But I think this might actually be a solved problem, like we read here earlier that that ad developers didn't give up and that browser developers had done a good job, but they moved on to implementing other features. Like if you use uBlock, at least for Firefox, where it's still good. I'm using the Zen browser. It's based on Firefox, and like uBlock in Chrome, it's a bit bad nowadays since Google made a new version of web extensions that is less capable than before. So uBlock is working not as great anymore in Chrome, but in other browsers, I think it should still be good, at least in Firefox and derivatives of that, like the Zen browser. But if you open uBlock, so we'll go to my extensions here, and we have uBlock. And then let's see where we can find the preferences. So they have different filter lists. So they come with some that are checked by default. I don't remember which ones are default, since I always change them. I added some extra ones that they have, but all of these are available like by default in uBlock that you can enable if you want. For instance, here in regions, I'm from Sweden, so I used I enabled this Swedish list. But they also have like cookie notices, so you can remove those. And I think in many cases it works very well. I get very few cookie notices that I need to accept different cookies. And and they have annoyances. I don't remember if this is default. Social widgets is another category. But I think with these annoyances and maybe these cookie notices, but I get very few these modal windows about newsletters to sign up to. If you click here and then you can see the content of it. It probably doesn't tell too much, but it's like different adverts and all kinds of things that are annoying. So I'm not really sure if I agree with the premise here that the web browser has stopped blocking pop-ups. Like if you just install an extension, then you get rid of most or the majority of pop-ups. So this is very rare for me to see any of these. And then we can continue. It's definitely a hard problem to distinguish between legitimate pop-ups and advertising pop-ups. But that was true in the mid-2000s too, when pop-up windows did have some legitimate purposes. To work around incorrect blocking, web browsers at the time implemented whole new user interface features to handle the case where a legitimate pop-up was incorrectly blocked. These UI components even persist to this day, even though almost no website uses pop-up windows anymore, so no one ever sees them. It's time for web browser developers to give pop-up blocking another swing. Yeah, it's hard, but I guarantee it will make the news again if a browser pulls this off and enables it by default. And again, I think maybe they should just look at what uBlock has done, and they can just take the same filter lists and use them. So like it's already there, all code is there, and you can use it today, and it would be kind of trivial for them to implement that by default in a web browser. And then imagine the accolades a browser would get for getting rid of all these pointless distractions. It would even invigorate a new discussion about other things web browser may do to alter websites for an improved user experience. Yes, there will be whiny news articles and opinion pieces from web developers, but these same sociopaths existed in the 2000s too. We ignore them then, and we can ignore them now. And I think, yeah, like I said, with uBlock, you can already shape like how websites look with that. And there is like another extension, 𝗘𝗺𝗶𝗹, which is quite popular. It can turn on dark mode on websites even if they have not implemented like a native dark mode. With this, you can turn it on anyways, and it works very well as well. And you can like add a custom CSS to websites, and I think Firefox has like a reading mode that removes most like decorations from websites to make them more plain. So I think you should already have the mindset that like the default presentation is just a default. You can change it by different extensions. And here it says the web is a two-way street, and the web browsers get to choose how they display websites. Yeah, web browsers get to choose, but like I said, you can use an extension to change that. Do you want more users, Mozilla? Then build features users want and will talk about with their friends. The need for pop-up blocking has not changed in the past 25 years, and I would argue it's worse now than it was in the early 2000s. Yeah, I agree with this with Mozilla. Like maybe instead of focusing so much on different or wrong things like Pocket and AI and whatever they're coming up with, like this would actually be a great feature. And as I said, it wouldn't be that difficult to implement. It was a great feature then, and it would be a great feature now. It's time for browsers to start implementing pop-up blocking 2.0 enabled by default. And I agree wholeheartedly with this. I think the web, when I'm browsing it without an ad blocker, which I do very rarely, but when I get to somebody else's phone or computer and I see how the web actually looks like, it's a horrible experience. So if like Firefox or anybody else would want to make it easy for them, they could just install uBlock by default and add some of those optional filters. And then the experience would be much, much better. But I think most power users are probably already doing that, but to help other users who aren't as maybe good with technology and don't know that, I think yeah, that would really be a good selling argument if they would filter out stuff like that by default. So I agree with this article, and please check out uBlock Origin and download it and tweak it a little bit, and then you will also have a great experience. You don't need to wait for the browser developers to catch up. And I think that was everything I wanted to share today, and I hope you have a great day and that we see each other another time. Bye bye!